From the Toronto Star, I'm Adrian Chung, and this matters. Blistering speed, flying down the white chalk lines of the soccer pitch.
David plays it down the line. Look how that ball's staying in, and Davies is on it. Davies takes it away!
Alphonso Davies, Canadian, was about to make history.
Alphonso Davies keeps it himself! Goal! Alphonso Davies! Are you kidding me?
Davies, named Canada's best athlete with the 2021 Lou Marsh Trophy, is a talisman for an entire generation of Canadian sporting excellence. And especially with this goal, he's delivered a moment that will be talked about for decades. A Canadian with a highlight played over and over again around the world. But in Alphonso's words, it began at home. It began in Edmonton.
My name is Alphonso Davies, and I'm proud to say I'm an Edmontonian. These streets are where I grew up, where my family made a home.
And to get even more local, it really began at Free Play for Kids, a free after-school program for kids to play sports. Many of the kids in the program are from immigrant families. Some, like Alphonso, are refugees looking to find safety in Canada. The program helps kids get into sports and leagues where they otherwise might not be able to afford it. Alphonso Davies might get all the headlines, but the Free Play for Kids program is aiming for more than that. They want to boost the next generation of leaders and dreamers in Canada and beyond. We're talking to Ruke Okome, Program and Social Operations Manager at Free Play for Kids. Ruke's involved in the day-to-day running of the program, and she's often the first point of contact for hundreds of families and kids who join year-round. Hey, Ruke, great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
I'll start with a hypothetical that probably isn't really a hypothetical because you've likely faced this situation dozens, if not hundreds of times. But let's say that there's a young kid in your community in Edmonton, and they're looking for a place to be outside of school, after school, and you have just the thing for them. How would you describe what Free Play for Kids is?
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. That's like a lived experience and a thing that a lot of our kids that access our program go through. So nothing new. But what I would say is, Free Play is a all-inclusive, safe, free space for anyone that's, looking for a place to belong, anyone that's, looking to remove themselves from different kinds of elements that might not lead, to the right direction. Here at Free Play, we recognize that, between that after school period, between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, it's a very volatile, vulnerable space where a lot of things, could lead you in the wrong direction, or sometimes they lead you in the right direction for sure, like our program. But we want to ensure that our program is bridging that gap. We want it to do that. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're available to those that need us is, kind of combating that really tough in-between space for a lot of these kids and a lot of the youth, and ensuring that they have a space that they can come to and feel like they belong and feel like they're contributing and feel like their lived experience is also valued and recognized and, touched on and talked about. And we talk about all kinds of things in this space. We use sport as a pool. We offer 4 awesome sports: basketball, soccer, hockey, and flag football, with incredible TDs, technical directors that have this plethora of credentials. And we also have incredible youth leaders that are well-versed, in relationship building and really reaching communities where they're at. So we have all that available to you. And we want to make sure, part of our operating principles is ensuring that the families and the communities that access our program gets access to the best quality of service. So that's the best coaches, the best youth leaders, the best leadership squad, because all of these things are not easily accessible to our demographic that we work with and to the folks that are already marginalized and racialized, So yeah, that's Free Play in a kind of a nutshell.
And when you talk about accessibility, a huge barrier to that is obviously the cost of entry, especially the communities that you're talking about. Some of them are new Canadians, people who are trying to put food on the table. Can you talk about how it's actually about eliminating that barrier of cost of entry?
Of course, yes. Yeah. Accessibility is a big one. Yeah. It's really expensive to send your kids to do extracurricular activities. And that's just like in a general sense. Like even if we remove like the cost of the activity itself, you got to think about transportation, babysitting. Like if I'm going to drive this one kid to this event, what about the 7 other kids that are at home? Like who's going to take care of them? And like, where am I driving my kids to? Like, how can we use transportation like ETS, Edmonton Public Transit to, take them to wherever they need to go? So there's a lot of limitations there. Cost is a huge one. And in our registration process, we usually ask just to get a gauge of what is the biggest limitation. But yeah, cost is one. Transportation is a giant one, just because things are so spread out in the city and things are a little bit exclusive as well. And then you have like all of these bigger organizations like having grandfather bookings in different spaces that's, you can't access again. So, cost is the big one, but I think there's other limiting factors too. Like things are just really expensive. And the families that we work with, they're not always, that nuclear family where there's both parents are involved and, you got all your kids. No, it's always different for everybody. The situation is obviously subjective. And if you're working with, we have families there's 10 kids to one parent, and they need all the support that they can get. So yeah, I could sit here and talk about all the different kinds of levels of limitations, but yeah, we're trying to remove that cost as well. We're trying to remove transportation because we provide all of this stuff. We provide free equipment, transportation, facility, all of that stuff we take care of. All they have to do after school is just go on the bus with our youth leaders and come here, have fun, go back. And then the parents, usually we're done between 5:30 and 6. So parents are usually off work so they can come pick your kids up from school during that time. Yeah.
Are those the very reasons why free play was created, was to face those very real barriers, whether it is transportation, whether it's the cost of entry, whether it's having the knowledge of what programs to enroll them in? There's so many things that can stop a parent or a kid from being part of something like this. Was that the original drive to create free play?
Yeah, I think it was certainly part of it. Again, I think one of the main components of what we do and one of the main mission and goal of free play is, it's accessibility, but it's also providing this sort of programming where it's more than the sport. It's leadership. It's, finding a space to belong. It's learning about yourself. It's knowing that you have potential and you have your own autonomy as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old, as a 10-year-old, and all the way up to when you're, 18 years old. So our main goal is obviously, to bridge the gap and to make sure that accessibility is available to folks that need it. But it's also within that accessibility that we're providing, we're also taking it a step further and teaching these kids leadership skills and how they can go back and contribute positively, again, to the communities that they're a part of, right? So come play, come have fun. But while you're playing, here's something that you learn about yourself that you didn't think you'd ever discover. I found myself a lot when I was playing sports. I was very shy growing up. I didn't love to talk. And, even dealing with anxiety and all of that stuff, it makes it hard to really be able to communicate as you're growing up. And I didn't recognize I had anxiety when I was little because I didn't have a program like Free Play to, highlight, hey, this is what anxiety looks like. And this is, how to deal with it. So, it's all encompassing what we do here. We are teaching kids, about themselves. We're teaching them to teach themselves about themselves. It's different levels and different tiers here. And it's not just, it's a program that you can come and, play and have fun, but it's more intentional. You can always, book a facility and be like, okay, go play. But these coaches that are here, they do such an incredible job of making sure that, we want the next Alphonso Davies. Sure, we want the next Connor McDavid. Okay, great. But that's not our main purpose. Our main purpose is way more than that. If you don't know how to kick a ball, that's fine. We'll teach you how to kick a ball, sure, but we'll also teach you how to introduce yourself, even if English is not your first language.
We'll be right back. So you're saying sports aren't the end goal here. It's not about creating athletes. It's about creating well-adjusted people who feel like Edmonton is home?
Nail on the head. Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
And a quick break here for just a second. We thought you should hear from the kids in the free-to-play program. The Star's digital producer and proud Edmontonian, Richie Astley, reported on the after-school program. He met several kids there to hear their stories and what they think of free-to-play. They're absolutely adorable, but we also think this is a window into how excited they feel about that place, one that they call their own. Here, have a listen.
How's it going? What's your name, sorry?
Neil.
Neil? How old are you?
9.
What do you like about this program?
Because it's almost like a place like home where you're safe.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A soccer player.
You want to be a soccer player? That's awesome. What's your name?
Mohammed.
Mohammed, nice to meet you. How old are you?
I'm 14.
14?
50, sorry.
You like soccer?
Yes, love soccer.
What's your position do you play?
I play left wing.
How long have you been part of this program?
About more than a year. We come every Wednesday. We coach kids. It's very fun. We also learn a lot of stuff. I took my first aid course here and also got my second refereeing license.
What do you like about this program?
Honestly, the coaches, the environment, what they teach us here, it's just great. Yeah.
What have you learned, would you say?
I've always loved to be a leader, and this program just helped me to become even a better leader. I feel very excited. Yeah, to meet new friends. Also made a lot of friends from this program. Met a lot of coaches.
How does it feel to know that a player like Alphonso Davies was once a part of this program too?
I feel like it's a very big thing, and we should all follow his footsteps. And to me, he's a role model, and I wish to be like him one day.
What's your name?
Sarah,
Sarah? How old are you?
7, turning 8.
And what do you like about coming here to this program?
I feel safe here, and my dad is a coach here, so that's why I come here.
What do you want to be when you get older? Do you want to continue staying in this program and stay in sports?
I want to be a junior coach when I get older.
Okay, now we'll head back to Ruke. You know, Ruke, I'd imagine that you know firsthand what it feels like to come to this strange place called Canada, to learn the customs, to get used to that Edmonton winter and cold. Do you feel like you connect with the kids in this community on a deeper level?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I migrated here when I was about 10 or 11. So it's been a while. I'm not going to tell you exactly how long. But yeah, being an immigrant, like coming from such a hot culture to a cold one, coming from a collectivist, driven community to it's more individualistic. Like a lot of people just, take care of themselves and all of that stuff. It was tough. It was hard. But I'm privileged enough to understand my privilege. And I know that, with the way that we immigrated here, my parents worked really hard to make sure that we're always comfortable. I've always had access to extracurricular activities. One of the main limitations growing up was just transportation. Again, just because, new immigrant parents, you're working your butts off in and out just to ensure that we're all good. So I definitely, talk to these kids that come to programming, and we share a lot of similarities. But I also understand my role here, which is I'm a Nigerian-born, Nigerian-Canadian in this space of leadership. And I see the impact that people like me are having in these spaces. So when the little kids come, like the, black and brown kids see someone in a leadership position, you're like, oh, this is a possibility. This is real. And it goes to representation. And when I say representation, that's a very tricky word because you want to make sure that representation is good representation, not, just like, okay, that we have this person and they're this and they're, you can do it if you're this. It goes more than that, and I try to lead by example as I'm here. I reach the kids like where they're at always. That's always my goal. We really use a trauma-informed kind of approach here and, sharing those lived experiences that I've had with the kids that would have the same similar ones. Like it's very powerful. It creates very long-lasting, very intentional, very incredible moments between me and the kids. And there's so many moments that I could talk about here that I really hold dear to my heart, that I think about when the days are a little tougher and I'm just in front of a computer all day instead of going playing with the kids. And I know that they value that as well, right? Because we had recently a parent meeting and all of the things that they talked about, all the things that are working with our program is verbatim what, we're trying to teach the kids here. These kids are learning that they have potential and they're learning that it's limitless. Like whatever you want to do, whatever you want to work on, whatever your heart is, there are people that are supporting here at Free Play, your family and all of that. So yeah, it's important that us as leaders use that kind of method to reach the folks that we're serving. And it's great. Yeah, I see myself all the time, every day at Free Play. So yeah, it's good.
Well, when you talk about representation too, obviously there's the hyper specific way that they can look at you and think, okay, I see myself in Ruke or other people who are, part of this program. And I also wonder too, when we're talking about representation, you also look at somebody like Alphonso Davies, right? One of the world's best soccer players. He used to be part of this program. What do you think it means to the kids in this program to see somebody who is essentially a bigger kid like them from Edmonton on a world stage like that? Have they ever talked to you about what that means to them?
Yeah, I think, I'm going to say it's very cool. Like a lot of the kids would use that language. It's so cool to see someone from here, someone that shares, again, our lived experience, being in such a giant stage for Canada. And I think, again, it speaks volumes to, what we as human beings are capable of doing. It's just nice to know that we have this individual that's, had a little stint at free play. He wasn't here, but, he accessed a program such as ours. And I'm sure many other programming to find a place that he belonged. And, he found that space. And this is what it kind of sort of led to. And then we have all of these kids in our program, that are finding their space to belong. It just gives them hope. Like, okay, if he figured it out, I can figure it out. And this goes with really anyone. Like, if I can figure it out, if Ruke Okome can figure out where she belongs, you as a little kid, from Somalia or wherever you come from, can do that too. It may not necessarily be at free play, like with free play or playing the sports. It may be like you had a conversation with a youth leader and you were talking about, this really cool thing that you did that isn't necessarily related to sports, or it's like, I learned how to make this dish with my mom today. And this is like what I want to do. I want to cook. I want to be a chef. And you're like, okay, great. Now you know that. How can we as free play and your family and everyone support you to get to that level? So it's powerful. It's huge. It's big. And it's very important. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody will obviously turn into a world famous soccer player, but I guess in your work, what I want to ask too is the kids that you work with every day and you see them growing and you see them learning new lessons and becoming maybe more comfortable in who they are. If you could think to the future and what you want for them, when they look back, what would you want them to remember or have learned from free play, you think?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good one. I think that just knowing that they're capable would be one, and capable of achieving whatever, they put your hearts to. And then like dreaming, like you can dream and you can, achieve these dreams that you have set out for yourself. And then another big thing for me is, you have a place that you belong in your community, in your society. Because sometimes like when you get out of free play and you're trying to discover yourself out there, somewhere else that isn't, like we have this programming that is technically designed for you to be able to discover yourself, take these life skills that you've learned and apply it elsewhere. And, you go and you lead with integrity. If you're leading with integrity out there, you're doing what you're set out to do. We're building like incredible leaders here. We're building the next, big doctor or lawyer, we're bringing, next farmer, like whatever you want to do, you're more than capable of achieving it. And you're more than capable of achieving it with everything that you've been through. And everything that you've been through is not your definition. That happened, but what's to come is going to be incredible because you put that work into yourself, because you saw the value in yourself and you saw the potential that you were able to achieve. And it transcends, like it's more than all of this. It's you knowing that you're capable of doing anything you put your heart to. Yeah, free play is really incredible. The program is really are just like changing the culture surrounding sports and what that means, what it means to be a good coach and what it means to be a good leader.
Ruke, it's awesome to talk to you, and you guys are doing incredible work. Thank you for making the time to talk about it.
Thank you. Of course, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me.
And that is Ruke Okome, Program and Social Operations Manager at Free Play for Kids in Edmonton. You can find more information about them at freeplayforkids.com. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I'm your host, Adrian Chung. Our This Matters team is me, Adrian Chung, Brian Bradley, JP Fozo, Matt Hearn, Morgan Bachnick, Raju Mudar, Saba Aitazaz, and Sean Pattinen. Our music is by So Called, Mike DeAngelis, and Sean Pattinen. We want to hear what stories matter to you. Please send us your comments, questions, or ideas to thismatters@thestar.ca. Please consider supporting the journalism the Toronto Star newsroom does at thestar.com/subscribing matters. And don't forget to subscribe to This Matters on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Let's talk soon.